Hey everyone, today we're talking about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier finale and how, very unpopular opinion here, I felt meh about it, which might not be surprising considering how I felt about last week's episode, which I will put in the eye and link down below. I felt pretty underwhelmed for a finale, and I'll just kind of go over a few points because honestly, I don't even know how to explain the feeling. So we'll just touch on it. Today is April 24th, and Rotten Tomatoes did a tally of the first 24 hours, and it has a 59% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, which I guess is the lowest episode in the entire series, which is kind of crazy. Now, I mean, I don't listen to Rotten Tomatoes anyway. If I want to watch something, I want to watch something. I really don't care what they say. But I just thought that was kind of interesting that I guess it was the lowest rated. I mean, I wouldn't. It's hard for me to say because it's not like I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. I would have rated it higher than 59% though. However, they did start taking score yesterday afternoon, which was really dumb in my opinion because most people watch when they get home from work or when their kids are in bed. So I'm like, how can you say, oh, look, it's only rated this? I think it was at that point, it was like 40%. I'm like, how can you even rate it? Because majority of people haven't even watched it yet. Overall, it had a pacing issue to me. It felt rushed and forced and just, I don't know, it was lacking something. I do know, and I do remember that they had to change a lot due to world situations as they are. And I realized that. I realized that they had to probably change a little bit about it and they had to do reshoots and all this kind of stuff. And they felt a little pressed for time because I realized that there's a lot that goes into trying to film a movie or a show or whatever during these times. So I do give them some slack with that. But I would have happily waited longer to either have more of a, I don't want to say quality storyline because it's not like it was a bad story. It just, if to have more quality, I guess the last couple episodes, or to even just add a couple more on because I think WandaVision was 8. So I'm like, why did we only get 6 for this? It kind of reminded me of Supernatural. If any of y'all are fans of Supernatural, they had to remember their last season was season 15 and it had shut down halfway through filming because of everything going on. And then they had to go back and reshoot it. And everybody was like, what the was that finale about? It kind of felt like that, although not as bad, not as bad as that one, but that's kind of what it felt like. There were parts in it that I liked, and I'm going to touch on them here real quick, but Sam's new suit as Cap, yeah. Now, I already knew what it was going to look like because there was a leaked picture from the toy that was actually released in Japan, so I knew what the toy looked like. I knew what the costume looked like, but it was still really cool to see Anthony Mackie come out on screen, and it was really cool. Now, personally, if I was Captain America and I had to choose between a regular suit or ones with wings, yeah, I'm going to go with the one that I can fly. So that was pretty cool. Also, his speech as Captain America, first time on camera making this big speech, I actually did really like that speech. I thought it was well done with the character as well because it is completely something that Sam would say and do because of the nature of Sam. And I thought that was really well put together. And that whole scene in the beginning with Carly, that storyline, just the Carly storyline, felt a little rushed to me. It felt like there was all this buildup for it to end in 10, 15 minutes. It felt very rushed. It felt, I don't know. I figured they would kind of have to offer because of the nature of the storyline. Although I guess she wasn't really the true villain. Did y'all see that thing? Somebody posted it on TikTok where they said it was interesting. This was before the finale. They said it was interesting that Carly had an iPhone because Apple has some very restrictive policies when you're going to use their tech in shows, and that no bad guy, no villain can ever, true villain could ever use an iPhone on screen. I don't know how true that is. I actually don't use Apple. I have an Android. And they don't care. So I have no clue how true that is, but I just thought that was interesting that I'm like, huh. And I really, at the overall tone of this episode, she really wasn't the ultimate bad guy. Yeah, she was doing bad things. And so I would put her under bad guy, but I understand her cause that she was rallying behind. And obviously Sam did too, because that was part of his speech, but she wasn't the true bad guy because we'll get to the other stuff, but they revealed a couple other things near the end. So those were, I don't know. I just thought that was kind of interesting point that somebody had made on TikTok, but I did feel like Carly's storyline was ended very abruptly. And I know it was a 10-15 minute fight scene. I'm well aware of that. And it was choreographed beautifully. The actors, of course, acted their butts off, but I just felt I don't know. I felt like there should have been more. Or maybe it was supposed to be more I don't know. It felt very anticlimactic, I guess, as an ending for her. I do remember after Sam's speech, I actually was like, oh, this is the end of the episode, right? Because I felt a very oh, this is a great way to end the episode. It's very moving. And I paused it and there was still 30 minutes left. And I'm going, the heck are they going to put, what's going to be 30 minutes long? They wrapped this up John Walker, I felt was like redeemed or forgiven rather quickly because the episode before that, we saw him have this intense fight with Bucky and Sam, and he's running away. And yeah, we saw Val approach him, but like he's stripped of everything. So I thought there'd be kind of like more to him, but I guess not. I know that his story was kind of just like a mentioned to set him up to be U.S. agent, which I guess if you saw when I talked about episode 4, I did touch on that briefly because I actually didn't do episode 1 through 3. I did touch on that they're setting him up to be U.S. agent. And of course, that was finally the big reveal in his costume, although we didn't really get to sit with that for too long. And before it was, again, rushed off the screen. Like, again, the pacing felt really off. Like, things felt rushed near the end, which is why it would have been nice to have, like, an extra episode, sort of. I don't even know. Or maybe not even an extra episode, but have this episode be longer. Because I thought they had said the last 2 episodes were supposed to be longer, and I guess they were because the other ones were like 40 minutes and these were like 50. But maybe they make this one more like an hour and 10 minutes or an hour and 20 minutes or something and just added a little bit more to it. I feel like the pacing could have been better with a little more time. On the John Walker point, I understand that they're most likely making a show revolving around U.S. Agent and Val and all of that. So that was just kind of a setup for that show. I understand that. And the other point, Sharon as the power broker, that felt very weak. Like, everybody was predicting that a long time ago, and I tried to be like, well, maybe she's not. And I threw out my theories and stuff. I was like, but she could be the power broker. I mean, I was hoping they wouldn't go that way because it felt obvious and cheap, and then they went that way. So I'm like, ugh. At the end credit scene where she's like given the pardon, she's seen leaving the courthouses and stuff, and then she's like, she's got that evil look on her face. I'm just like I don't know. It didn't feel very like, oh my gosh, I wonder what's gonna happen next. It felt more like, all right. Like, by this point, I don't really care. I remember when you're seeing all the promos for the show before the show came out, and it seemed like Sharon would be a very big player because they had her in like all the promo, and like we saw her in what, 2 episodes, like 2.5 episodes, maybe, like not even. So I don't know. It just was a very weak reveal that we all pretty much guessed. It was nice to see Bucky doing the work, as Sam would tell him to do. He's doing his work, and he's finally able to get rid of the therapist. On Bucky doing his work, I know a lot of people were complaining about the fact that they never got to see the reaction from Yari. Oh my gosh, I'm terrible with names. We never got to see his reaction to Bucky telling him, but we didn't really need to. It wasn't about him, it was about Bucky. And we did actually see him later in the restaurant when the girl saw Bucky through the window and stuff. You see the old man sitting there, so at least you know he's not like wallowing in his apartment or anything like that. Like, he's out and about. So I think that was kind of more of that kind of a closure scene. And it was great to see Bucky get the closure that he needed to move on. And that was because of Sam, because of what Sam was telling him. And it's not because of that terrible therapist that he had. I feel like I want to do a whole vlog on exactly how bad her therapy was and how it's exactly pretty much what most veterans receive for their care, because they did a fantastic job of showing just how shoddy her therapy was, funny or not. Now, I did enjoy their cookout. That was really nice to see everybody coming together, and that Bucky actually, I'm assuming, moved down there to be by Sam, because it seemed like he pretty much left New York, although it could just be on a vacation. They never really specified. It was just the way that he cut ties with the therapist, although he didn't really need her anymore. And it seemed like he was kind of leaving, but they didn't outwardly say it, so who knows. But I did like how he seemed to have like friends around him, because I feel like he really needed that. And he obviously liked to be around kids. I mean, come on, he's holding out his arm and they're hanging out. Like, that was great. And one of my favorite scenes was actually him bringing the cake in the beginning, because if you looked at the cake, and I don't know if it was intentionally done that way or maybe Sebastian moved it around a lot, but you could see that parts of it were stuck to the side of the cake tin, so you knew it was sliding around in the seat, and it was endearing. I don't know why that was such a mundane thing, but I really liked that. I really liked that the cake was stuck to the side of the thing. It was just, I don't know, it was just really cute. Oh, and I almost forgot, I did want to say it was really, really great to see that Isaiah got the recognition that he deserved. I'm not sure how Sam snuck that one in there, because it went from the one episode of Isaiah saying, if they know I'm alive, they'll kill me, to here's a statue so in the museum. So I don't know what strings he pulled from that. So I'm hoping that everything will be okay with Isaiah. But somebody on Twitter actually posted a screenshot of the text on the thing. So I didn't actually have to go back and sit there and stare at my screen, but they posted a text of it and it was about exactly what it was. It wasn't just like, oh, this was like a hero from World War II. Like, no, they were forcibly given the super soldier serum and 26 of these guys and all of them died, the whole shebang. And I thought that was really, really cool for him to get the recognition he deserves. And I know that some people on Twitter were complaining actually about Isaiah, saying he went from saying, I don't want the shield, and Sam, you shouldn't want the shield either, to, oh, being really proud that Sam had the shield. And they're feeling like, well, that was kind of a 180, but not really, because what that showed was Isaiah was going, you know what? I didn't think anybody could do it. This guy can. And that's putting a lot of faith in Sam. I'm going to talk about this here because I know this was my initial reaction when I first saw it. I know a lot of people are talking about it. At the end, when they put Captain America and the Winter Soldier, everybody went, wait a minute, Winter Soldier? Like, hold up a minute. Hold on to that Captain America bit. Hold on a second. But Winter Soldier? Like, he spent the whole series trying to deny that he was the Winter Soldier and all that. Shouldn't it be Captain America and the White Wolf? Because he kept saying, White Wolf, White Wolf. So here's my thoughts on this. At first, I was of the camp to be like, yeah, why shouldn't it be Captain America and the White Wolf? Like, that would be really cool. Until somebody reminded me that in the comics, which of course they can deviate from, and they have deviated from, the White Wolf actually turns into a villain. I was like, thanks for reminding me of that one. So my thoughts were it should be, if they're going to keep them together, which they would be very smart to keep them together, would be Captain America and Sergeant Barnes, or Captain America and Bucky Barnes. But honestly, at this point, somebody else also talked about this, and I kind of agree with them, is that keep it with Winter Soldier, because he can take the Winter Soldier name and turn it around. He can own it on his own terms, and he can make it mean what he wants it to mean, not what somebody else imposed it. He can change the meaning of it on his own terms, and I like that. I like that a lot better. So if we can't have like Sergeant Barnes or just Bucky Barnes, Winter Soldier, that's a good way to go. So all in all, like, that's what I have to say about it. I know this is going to be a lot shorter than my other vlogs because I had a lot more to say then, but I felt kind of meh. Like, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it, if that makes any sense. Like I said, I think it was all the reshoots. You could tell that something changed halfway through, and this last episode felt like they were trying to rush and just gather everything up and figure it all out in the last 30 minutes, and I didn't like that. The pacing was really off. Again, they could have tacked on a whole other episode, or if they're like, well, there's not quite enough for another 30, 40, 50-minute episode, then make this one not an hour, but maybe make it an hour and 15, or even an hour and a half or something, and just give us a little bit more of a good pace, because things were just too rushed. I don't know. That's my opinion. I know a lot of people loved it, but I see a lot of people that didn't like it too. And they all stated the same thing. Like, it felt rushed. The pacing was off. Everything was just kind of like da-da-da-da-da. It felt like a big setup for Marvel future products, which I guess is kind of what it is. Like, WandaVision was always supposed to be the lead in to Doctor Strange 2 Multiverse of Horror. It was always supposed to be that. It was actually supposed to come out after Falcon and Winter Soldier, which was supposed to be out last fall, but we know why that was delayed. This one, I guess, was supposed to be sort of like a 6-hour movie, but I still felt, even if you watched it all as one, now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, even if you watch it all as one and you're like, okay, it's one 6-hour movie, I'd still feel the same about the pacing at the end. Like, it was a good pace, and then all of a sudden, brum, and that's what I didn't like about it. But I do know that a lot of people are saying, well, this was always supposed to be like a supplemental in between Marvel's other projects to try to show you like what's all happening. But then they announced shortly after that there's going to be a Captain America 4. I mean, like, they had the finale, and it was like later that day. They were like, nope, officially there's going to be a Captain America 4, and everybody lost their minds. Also, I think there is a Captain America project with Chris Evans that's unrelated. I just hope it's not like 2 hours of him being with Peggy, because I have issues with Endgame, and it's been years, and I still think I've only seen Endgame like 2, maybe 3 times, and I still have a lot of issues with that movie. I like a lot of things about it, but I have a lot of issues. Seems like I have a lot of problems, doesn't it? And I really don't. I'm very easy to impress, honestly. I was going to mention that too. I would have happily waited for Falcon and Winter Soldier, would have happily waited for more quality or more episodes, like to not have that pacing be weird in that last episode. It sounds like I'm really hard to please, and I swear I'm not. I learned my lesson a long time ago to just have my expectations set really low, and then you'll always be entertained. That's thanks to Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, which I'm not sure if my friend watches my vlogs, but if he does, I'm sure he remembers me calling him at like 3 in the morning after the midnight showing for like an hour, just ranting about that movie. And yes, I can watch the movie now and I just take it as it is. That was really where I learned to just really severely lower my expectations, which is why I can enjoy things like Wonder Woman 1984. I know I'm probably one of like 4 people that actually enjoyed that movie, but that's for another vlog. So that's saying something. If me, who my standards are like really low, and even I was kind of like, there should have been a little bit of something tweaked. Now, will I rewatch it? Yeah, of course I'll rewatch it because I rewatch all the MCU movies like 4 times a year. So this definitely will rewatch it. And any time with my Bucky is better than none. However, I won't be rushing to do it. Like I'll probably finish my 3rd rewatch of Mandalorian before before I go back to watch this. Quite honestly. Let me know what you guys thought down below if you think that I'm wildly off and you want to defend Falcon and Winter Soldier, or if you're like, yeah, you know what, you're right, the pacing was kind of off. Let me know. Let me know all of your thoughts and comments below. I actually had some really good points brought up in the comments on my last vlog, so if you're curious about that after episode 5, that'll be in the comments and in the eye. And I really like having good discussion. So if you guys have some really valid points, I'd like to hear them. And my social media is down below. If you don't want to comment here, whatever, you can go check that out. And I will see you guys next time. Stay fresh, cheese bags.